Today we're going to go over the easiest art businesses to start in 2026. Now these are not businesses that take a lot of investment. Like you're not having to take out a loan to buy a gallery space or invest a lot of money in art fair supplies. These are micro businesses, opportunities for artists that take very low investments. And you don't have to have tons of skills or business knowledge to be able to do them. If you're new to my channel, my name's Crystal. I'm a full-time artist. I sell my work primarily at art fairs around the Midwest, but I also sell my work online, and for a few years I even had my own art gallery. So let's get into it. The first business opportunity for artists is selling small original work. These are very small miniature paintings, like in the sizes of 6 to 8 inches potentially, maybe even smaller if you like to paint smaller than that, or artist trading cards. These are ACEO cards. These are in the sizes of 2.5 by 3.5 inches, so it's a very specific size for these trading cards. But either of these types of art are selling really well on eBay, and they also sell on Etsy and other places online. What I really love about this business is that you can make a lot of work very quickly, and you can sell it for low prices, and it's original work. It's not something that people will mistake for AI art or anything like that, because you can show yourself in the process of making it. You can make videos while you're painting or drawing your work. And then when you sell it on platforms like eBay or Etsy, you can have those videos there. You can even try to sell your work using social media. There are a lot of people who are selling their work exclusively on Instagram, and it's all miniatures. And it's perfectly well suited for selling online, because when people are looking at their phone and they're scrolling their Instagram feed, those miniature paintings look the same size as the really big paintings. But the miniature paintings can sell for much lower prices. And in this economy, customers are looking to still get something original. A lot of people want to support real artists. They don't want to buy fake art like AI garbage, right? But they often don't have $5,000 to spend on a 60 by 80 inch size painting, or maybe even they don't have the wall space for it, because a lot of people have collected work over the years and their walls are full. So they might only have space for small miniature paintings. And this is why this type of work can sell really well, especially for a beginner. And there's not much investment, right? If you're selling your work online, then you can make the small paintings or the ACEO cards, and you can sell them on eBay. To list things on eBay is free. You only pay when you actually sell something. At least that's how it is currently at the time of recording this video, because everybody who sells on there gets a couple hundred free listings. And so unless you're selling like thousands of items, you're not going to have a listing fee when you just try to sell your small painting or small art trading card. And so this is a great business to start if you have plenty of time to paint, you're willing to sell things for cheaper prices because you're making those small pieces that take you less time, and you can really cash in on the whole economic situation we've got going on in the world right now, where people just don't have big budgets to spend on art, but they're still looking for gifts and cool things to add to their home that are at affordable prices. Next is a commission-based art business. So this is essentially making custom work for customers. You can do this in a lot of different subject matters. I know people who make custom landscape paintings for people, or custom paintings of people's homes. Custom pet paintings, of course, is a very big part of this industry, but also custom paintings of people's children, or wedding paintings based on a wedding photo, to celebrate the person's wedding, or even a painting to celebrate a person's life. And the end of life paintings go for pets too. I know personally I do a lot of pet memorial paintings, but what's amazing about this business is that customers want something that's completely tailored to them, and you can charge more for this than you would be able to charge for things normally that you'd just be selling like on Etsy or eBay. So if you're wanting to make a little bit more money per painting or per artwork that you create, then custom pieces are a great way to go. Let's say you need $2,000 a month to live if you were living at your cheapest, lowest budget. I know some people live in areas of the country where you need a lot more than that, but let's just say $2,000. And if you charge $400 a painting, that means that you only need to sell 5 or 6 paintings if you're taking into consideration some of your supply costs to be able to support yourself each month. Making 6 sales a month is actually very doable, even for a business just starting out. especially considering the demand for custom work. Everybody's always wanting something specifically tailored to them. I see this all the time in my business, especially around certain holidays and times of year, like Christmas time. I am booked out 4 months ahead of every spot that I have for commissions, all before Christmas, every single year. Not only that, but people oftentimes want things for Valentine's Day gifts, Mother's Day gifts, birthday gifts. So there are so many opportunities to be able to cash in on a custom painting or custom artwork business. Now, this next art business idea might strike you as a little bit of an oddball one at first, but bear with me here. So let's say you already have a printer like this one back here, or maybe even a smaller printer like the Epson P900 or even the Epson 8550. But let's say you have a printer at home and you've been using it to make your own art prints, whether you've been selling them or not, but you've got it to be able to make prints. Well, you could start a business. This could be like a little side hustle, or it could be its own standalone micro business where you are making art prints for other artists. I personally did this at the very beginning of my career, like 15 years ago. I had a printer and I was using it to make prints that I was trying to sell, but I wasn't selling them very well and I didn't really know how to start or run an art business. But what I did know were lots of other artists and photographers who needed things printed, because at the time, the only other place in the town where I lived to get them printed was like an actual photography company that charged way too much for the prints. And so I could charge like 3 or 4 times what I was making my supply cost into making the prints for the customers. And I came out on it. I mean, I was quadrupling my money of investment. It didn't take that much time to make the prints for people. I did this business completely out of my home. I often would take the orders online from the people, so they would send me their images. I would print them out and then I would meet them at a local coffee shop. Some of the customers I knew well, so they would just swing by my house and pick up the prints. But I was able to do this without a place of business. And so you can get really scrappy here with this business. And honestly, when you're making prints, let's say on the Epson P900 for $1 a print, if you would charge somebody like another artist in your area $5 for an 8x10 print, they're probably going to be really happy with that price. And if you charge them $4, they're going to think it's like the best price they ever got, probably. Because when you purchase online, you might get a good price, but you're also having to pay the shipping. And so being a local business, they're not having to pay shipping. So inherently they're saving money by supporting you. And also, a lot of artists would just like to support another artist rather than some company they don't know. So this could be a great opening for a nice little printing business side hustle for you if you want to seize that opportunity. The next business that I think is really worth looking at in 2026 is starting an art content business, and specifically starting a YouTube channel, because YouTube can be really good. Not only do you make ads on the YouTube videos once you get monetized, but even before that, you can make affiliate income, you can get sponsorships by companies, you can make quite a bit of money doing this. I know a lot of people who are full-time art YouTubers only. And what I love most about this business is that you don't need any money to get this started. You can use your cell phone to make all of your videos, and eventually later, if you want to upgrade by like getting a mic or something like that to make them better, you can. But when I started my channel, I didn't have any of that stuff. I had the cheapest way to make videos, no mic, just everything that came with the onboard camera, and I started making videos. I wasn't very good at it, but I got better over time. And I discovered that I had a passion for this. I really love teaching you all and helping other artists grow, and it makes me feel really fulfilled. And so for me, it's something that I just love to do kind of as a hobby. My full-time thing is selling my art still, but I do make a nice little side income off my YouTube channel. And if I wanted to really go in hard on my YouTube channel, I could do it full-time and I wouldn't have to sell art, but I also love to sell art. So for me, it's about living the best life. So that's why I kind of still juggle both in my career. All of that said, you do have to have a little patience with it and realize there's a lot of work on the front end that you might not be having to do in some of these other businesses that we're discussing in this video. But it's definitely one worth keeping an eye out for and considering if you like to teach others and you're willing to be on camera. The next art business is doing local pop-up shows and markets, and especially farmers markets. Now, before you think, well, I don't want to sell my art at a farmers market, I would think again, because farmers markets have a really low barrier to entry. You don't have to have a fancy art booth set up. I mean, all you really need is a pop-up tent and maybe even just a few tables. If you have some sidewalls to hang your art, that's a good idea. I've linked a free supply list in the description that'll give you all the supplies that you need for setting up a basic art fair booth. But you don't need a lot of upfront investment, and you can make money every week at farmers markets. Sometimes, depending on the city that you live in, there'll be other types of art markets that'll be a weekly or monthly ongoing thing that are also really low barriers to entry. The booth fees are small, like 40 or 50 bucks. You can go there even just like a one-day show. Sometimes there'll be two-day shows, but just a one-day show typically. You might just only have to set up a table, you put your artwork on there, and then you sell it to local customers. And while you're doing this, you can start getting an email newsletter list of those customers. Try to get them signing up by giving them a freebie or something at the show, or a chance to win in a drawing that you hold at the end of the show. But you get people to sign up, and then you can contact them later when you're not at the show to try to sell them more of your artwork as you make it in the future. So this is a good way to get an art business going without much investment. And what I found is it's so much easier to sell your art in person than it is online. So if you've tried to sell your art online and haven't sold anything or not done as well as you wanted to, don't discount the path of trying to sell in person. Because from my experience, I used to try to sell online and couldn't hardly sell anything sometimes. But then in person, I sell so much. And really, this boils down to the buyer experience. Customers want to be able to stand in front of the work and feel something. When they are looking at art in their Instagram feed, or they're seeing it maybe even just when they're browsing on their desktop computer, it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. They can't see it. They can't have that experience with being in front of it, especially if it's a larger work. When you see a larger painting and you're like standing in front of it, it's fully enveloping your field of vision, you are going to feel something so much different from that piece than you are if you are looking at it on a computer screen. Also, when they're buying in person, they get to interact with the artist. So this is where you can use your sales skills, and you can be personable and tell them stories about your work, share your passion. This is something that's so difficult to get across from an online art selling perspective, but in person you can do that. And selling at local shows doesn't cost that much investment. You're not having to pay for hotels or travel. Likely you're not having to pay for art assistants. You're just setting up a table or maybe a small pop-up tent. It's a low risk investment from a time standpoint and a monetary standpoint. So I think it's definitely worth exploring. And if you'd like to learn more about selling at farmers markets, I have a video right here. It's going to give you all my best tips. All right, thank you so much for watching. Hope this helps. See you next time.